1/5 is 0. How are we feeling with that? So what you guys need to be doing is working on the algebra. Don't ignore it. Do the calculus and then try. Work with the groups, but that's why you have to be working with the group after school. Because you're all going to be doing it together. How did you do this? Other people can't help you. Your dog can't help you with that. Your mom can't help you with that. The only people that are going to be doing it with you, who are taking the time to do it, is the group. So do it. And while you're doing it, you're getting your extra credit points for just sitting around and working with each other. Why not do it? It just makes sense. Yes? But do it. Like, work through this algebra. See if you can get the answer in the back of the book. Or like, ask me, what is the most simplified answer? We'll look at it and see if you can get it. The more you practice, just the better you'll be. The more you ignore it, you'll never get better at it. Does that make sense? You're just going to ignore it. Does that make sense? Okay. Cool. Here's this one. Let's look at 17. Okay, what did 17 say?
Y equals x inverse x plus square root of 1 minus x squared.
Yeah? Now I want to take the derivative of this thing. Okay? So looking here, what rule is this? Set it up like a product. What rule is this? Chain rule. Yeah, I'm going to make this a 1/2 exponent. And I'm going to chain rule that. Okay, so first let's set up our product rule. Set it up before you do it. Plus the first times the derivative of the second. Plus, and then if I chain rule this thing, bring down the 1/2 times, leave this alone, subtract 1 from the exponent, negative 1/2, times, what's the derivative of what's inside? Be careful. Why is it negative 2x? Yeah, look at it. Yeah, there's a negative 1 in front. So this is negative 2x. Does that make sense, you guys? Don't forget that negative sign. Okay. So I left to do this, and then all the calculus is done. So let's do it. Y prime equals, what's the derivative of x? 1. So this is just sine inverse x plus x times, what's the derivative of the inverse sine? Yeah, u is just x. It's 1 over x squared, 1 minus x squared, times 1. And all that stuff's all multiplied together. Plus, now let's do some simplifying over here. This is 1 times this thing times negative 2x all over 2, yes? And then with the negative exponent, what can I do with that? Flip it down. So this thing becomes negative 2x over 2 times the square root of 1 minus x squared. Questions on that? Thank you.
So the derivative of inverse sine is the x times 1 over 1 minus x squared.
Well, the derivative of this thing, this is x times, so it's x times the derivative of the inverse sine, which is 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. And then this thing is multiplied by x still.
Can you do how'd you figure out the negative 2x over 2 times square root?
So I multiplied 1 times, this thing is going to move down, times negative 2x. 1 times negative 2x is negative 2x. In the denominator of this whole thing multiplied together is just a 2. And then because this has a negative exponent, you can flip it.
Oh, okay.
Which would be this down here to the 1/2 or square root. Other questions? If are good questions. These are what you need to work on. Like as we go on, like we're gonna do a problem, we're gonna do another one, another one. So just practice it, and you will get better. So what happens with this one over here, you guys? The 2's cancel out. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So what happens here? This is x over square root of 1 minus x squared plus negative x over the square root of 1 minus x squared. That's 0. So the derivative of this is just equal to the inverse sine. Wasn't that fun?
Yes.
Where's the air guitars at? I'm not seeing anything. There was so much exciting. Give it. Da-da-da-da. Jackie, give it up for that problem. All right. It's kind of like a ghost thing, like you're trying to scare me. But all right, yeah, it's close to Halloween. Good enough. I'll take it. Here's what's so interesting about this problem. Okay, what's the derivative of sine? Cosine. Good. What function could I take the derivative of to get sine? Negative cosine. Does that make sense? If you take the derivative of negative cosine, that'd be negative sine. That would be sine. Does that make sense? What you're doing is taking the integral. You're doing what we're going to do second semester. I want to know what original function will have this as a derivative, and you just answer that question. What is the derivative of the inverse sine?
1 over square root of 1 minus u.
Times the derivative of u. The derivative of inverse sine is 1 over the square root of 1 minus u squared times the derivative of u. That's how you should be saying it, like when you're looking over your flashcards. What function's derivative is the inverse sine? This thing. Obviously. But isn't that neat? This weird, wacky thing's derivative is the inverse sine. What's the inverse sine's derivative? So it's like it's taking the integral, it's going backwards. I never expected you to get this, man, ever all year, but this is it. Like if you take the derivative of this thing, its derivative is the inverse sine. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
You found the antiderivative of the inverse sine. What function will give you the inverse sine? Isn't that exciting?
Is there a rubber dam?
No. You'll never be expected to do that. But isn't it fun though? You know what it is now. It's like, I've always wondered, what functions could I take the derivative of to have this amazing inverse sine? And of course, it was right on the tip of my tongue the whole time. It's the x sine inverse x plus square root of 1 minus x squared function. The whole time, it was there. Oh my gosh, it's so silly. Okay, so it seems like we're having fun. So what we're going to do is not have fun again. No.
What?
Is start up a little bit on section 3.9. It's the last of the rules. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time today, and then we'll finish it up tomorrow. Okay? Your test is going to be next Monday. Not 4 days from now, a week from 4 days from now. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay?